Greetings, judges. My name is Mango Kangaroo, and I'm coming at you with Pokemon Blue in the % No Save Corruption. No Save Corruption is a category in which we use a trick known as Trainer Deathfly to run arbitrary code that will allow us to warp to the Hall of Fame. Now, time will start when I press New Game and will end after the screen fades to white in the Hall of Fame. The first thing I'm going to do is clear my current save and hard reset the game. This will reset RNG and allow me to do a certain set of inputs that will give me a trainer ID that I need for the arbitrary code to work. So you have to bear with me for a moment while I do a set of seemingly arbitrary inputs. Now we're going to go through here holding B and spamming A, which simulates fast text. And we're going to actually enter a very special name for the arbitrary code. It'll look a little silly, but it is what it is. Our rival will get his default name because we only see him twice through the gameplay. Which means that going through the process of naming him A, or another single letter word, or rather phrase, is unnecessary. And I don't believe saves any time whatsoever. Now we are, of course, going to go up and get caught by Oak before we go too far into the grass. It is here he will drag us into his lab for the Pokemon equivalent of a cutscene, or rather, a cutscene, or in nicer terms, maybe an auto-scroller. Everyone loves those. Perfect donation time. Alright, we'll now enter the rival fight. Now, we actually want to lose this fight. It doesn't matter if we win it, but losing is significantly faster. Reason being, if we win the fight, we have to sit through a level up text and more text from our rival. That is, if our rival wins, he only says one line of text. Whereas if he loses, he says maybe 3 or 4 lines. And we don't have to go, and with a loss, we don't have to go through that level up, as I said, which is actually quite time consuming, to a surprising extent even. That said, as is tradition, it can be quite difficult to get that victory for your rival. But not the end of the world to get caught with a win, it's just a tiny bit slower. You probably wouldn't reset even if you were going for world record attempts, as we can make up a lot of time on Route 1, or lose a lot of time in Route 1. It's heavily RNG dependent, so it's really a roll of the dice. Another good time for donations, but while we go up here, I'm actually going to talk about myself a little bit. My name is Mango Kangaroo, as I said before. I have been running this category since the earlier parts of this year. I started out actually with inspiration from a Games Done Quick video in this same category, which was using a different trick known as Brock Skip. Now this was a very flashy category, and it was very enjoyable for myself as a viewer to watch. So much so that it actually inspired me to get into running. And here I am with the same category, different tricks sadly. I prefer the Brock Skip strats, but alas. it is what it is for this. Despite myself being pretty new to the category, this category isn't very hard to learn, or at least it wasn't for me. Such as, I am currently sitting at a PB of 1208, contrary to what my live splitter says. I didn't have it when I got the PB, so my times aren't on it. But this is actually top 10 in the world for the category currently. And the strats and consistency at which I pull off the strats is world record viable. It's just, I haven't quite gotten there yet. This is a heavily RNG dependent run, and I've been doing resets in places where I really didn't need to be doing resets. So, it's just, it'll take a little time to get an even better time. However, I'm still grinding this category and I am improving every day. It's a category that I'm quite fond of, and I hope to be grinding it for quite some time. My current goal, when I'm doing my grinds, is to get sub 12. However, honestly, if I do get sub 12, I think really the only logical thing for me at that point is to go for world record. Of course, don't tell anyone that. I don't want to cause a stir just yet, especially given I'm just a measly top 10 runner. Now, being a top 10 runner is, for me, an accomplishment. It's not the most populated category, but it does have a good number of runners, around 200 or so on the speedrun.com leaderboards, which, for a game of its size and given it's not exactly a main category, is a very good time, or a very good amount of players, rather. It's a community that I'm happy with. I interact with a bunch of people from the community, so I'm very happy with where I am in the community. I'm very happy with the community that I've interacted with. And there are a lot of people running this category and a lot of people working to find even more skips to make this category faster. Now, you'll notice here that I actually reset before the save completes. Yes, you don't need to wait through the entire save text, at least for this generation. Don't go on, I don't know, Pokemon Ultra Sun and just immediately reset. It might work, but I'm not responsible for the loss of your save file. Now, we do that trick to give ourselves a guaranteed Spearow encounter, and preferably a guaranteed catch. Excellent. Now, Spearow is useful for a number of reasons. First, for a trick we're doing later, in which we get critical hit by a Pikachu and faint, it's, of course, very weak to electric-type moves, and thus gets one hit by the Pikachu. Secondly, we're going to end up fighting a bunch of bug catchers later on, which Spearow is very good for, since it comes with Peck. We're also going to heal at the Pokemon Center. Now, the reason we do this is because healing at the Pokemon Center will set it as our base, which is nice given we're going to wipe and have to respawn in a little bit. If we didn't save at the Pokemon Center, we would end up all the way back in Pallet Town, which means we get to walk through Route 1 again. Not exactly ideal if you're going fast. It's better to take a few seconds and faint at the Pokemon Center, or rather heal at the Pokemon Center, so when you faint, you end up at the Pokemon Center. Now we're going to do a set of inputs here to A, get through Viridian Forest to untouched, and B, get a Pikachu encounter right in front of the final bug catcher. What does this allow us to do? It means that we're going to get critical hit, preferably, by the Pikachu and faint. Now, this benefits us because it executes a trick known as Trainer Deathfly, which will start the arbitrary code execution, which will warp us to the Hall of Fame. Now, of course, that's not the end of it. We have to win some fights as well, but it's a good starting point. You'll excuse my silence, I do like to focus a little bit. I've messed up on this part more times than I'd like to admit. That said, even if I mess up the crit, I'm in the fight, so all's safe. Excellent. That is absolutely perfect for us. Okay. Now, if that old man had walked one tile and just stopped, we would actually be able to walk through the grass here safely. It's a nice little extension to the minute. Sadly, he moved again, which means that is not safe for us to go through there. Now, we do have to win a couple fights here, which can go sour if we get poisoned. That said, it is still possible for us to complete the category, even if we do get poisoned, or otherwise maybe even die here. Now, getting poison stinged right off the bat, not optimal. We do like them to use string shot, and we will get poisoned. Now, we do win that fight. We do have to go through another fight, and then we'd have to walk, so we are going to end up wiping here. And we have to wipe, rather. This will take quite a bit of time, but it's perfectly acceptable. The game will work the same. The manip will work. We'll be fine. It can be a little upsetting, but all we have to do is walk back. But this is good. Not only does it give us a little time to read out donations, but it's also good for this video particularly to demonstrate that this run is indeed marathon safe. Even if we get terrible RNG and have to, dare I say, reset the entire bug fight, well, we're still fine. We just walk back. Now, had we won that fight, we would have ended up like this, as we are, walking very slowly. But instead, we had to walk all the way back from the center. Now, due to the arbitrary code execution, this trainer could not see us, and we had to walk up and mash A because it also eats a lot of our inputs. That said, here we are now, and all we have to do is win this fight, which is practically guaranteed. There is a mathematical chance we could lose, but it's such a small chance that it would be so incredibly unlikely it's not even worth worrying about. But we do have to win this fight. And now, normally, I would have saved back there. Because there is a small chance that the arbitrary code execution actually fails here. Which it didn't, and here we are in the Hall of Fame. Sadly, the Elite Four forgot to pay the electric bill, but it's the Hall of Fame all the same. I'm actually sad I was this close to a live split PB, even with the fail on the Spiro. Makes me wonder what my time would have been if I got good bug fights. But, all the same, with a time of 13:06, that is Pokemon Blue any % no save corruption. It's a very fun category because you get to see the game just absolutely break down before your eyes there at the end, and then poof, you're in the Hall of Fame. It'll be a nice little, shock for the crowd, and it's really fun for me as a runner to do. And it has plenty of time for donations. And you get to learn a thing or two about the game that you maybe didn't know before. Anyways, my name is Mango Kangaroo, this is my submission, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.